I want to welcome you all to the United States Capitol for this very historic first meeting of the International Israel Allies Caucus Foundation. So we've joined together amongst many different nations to come together here in the United States to Washington, D.C. for a very important conference.
This inaugural meeting of the International Israel Allies Caucus Foundation brought together key Christian members of parliaments from 9 different nations, representing 4 continents. Members of Parliament committed to creating and being part of an international network to support Israel at government level. The conference was hosted by the bipartisan co-chairman of the Congressional Israel Allies Caucus, Dave Weldon and Elliot Engel, and chairman of the Knesset Christian Allied Caucus, member of the Knesset, Rabbi Benny Alon.
We're hearing from the ambassador from Israel to the United States, Ambassador Meridor, the State Department, elected officials in the House and the Senate on a whole host of critical issues important to Israel's survival.
It gives me great pleasure in the name of the State of Israel to be here with you this morning and to thank you.
I'm Secretary Rice's Policy Planning Director. It's for me to talk about the U.S.-Israel alliance and the significant changes that are now unfolding in the Middle East.
One of the goals of the conference was to equip the delegates with the highest caliber of information, so the speakers are experts in their fields and speaking on subjects that currently involve the governments of the delegates, such as the history and purpose of UNRWA.
3 million Palestinians now in UNRWA camps have become permanent wards of the international community.
The international media were present at all the speakers' sessions, and the Jerusalem Post reported on the entire conference. Another strong goal of the conference was to establish a level of relationship between the delegates based on shared values and beliefs.
It's wonderful to gather together around finding ways to strengthen the common values that we all hold dear. And so let's take a moment and just commit this time in prayer.
When I was in Sunday school, I learned to pray for the peace of Israel. In this environment on Capitol Hill, it's hard to express those kinds of things in spiritual terms, but I really believe that the peace of the world is intrinsically related to the peace of Israel. Our friend Israel, if we forsake them for any reason, under any circumstances, we forsake ourselves.
Close friendship between congressmen in America, parliament members from Canada, EU parliament members, Brazil parliament members, and the close friendship can create many things that we don't think about them now. First, for Israel, and also for spiritual values that we share together. Because I think that it is very, very important for politicians to have something more than regular, usual, conventional level of political interest. And we try to be this something more than regular thing.
I've been a part of this from the United States Congress for some period of time. The Christian Allies Caucus is a wonderful, unifying forum for us to be able to come together and to talk about issues that pull us together from around the world regarding Israel.
An important achievement of this first meeting was that the delegates ratified a statement of purpose and solidarity with the people and state of Israel on behalf of the Iiacf.
This document is the founding document of the International Israel Allies Caucus Foundation.
I learned a lot from a distinguished person, especially people from Israel. Japan should contribute more. We should support more for independence of Israel and somehow contribute to democratize other Middle East countries. And also I'm a Christian, so this coming July I will attend the Asian Jerusalem Summit.
Around the world there are millions and millions of Christians who have a biblical perspective who are supportive of the state of Israel. And you know, out of that has come this initiative to try and draw us together to see how can we help the world understand what the miracle really that's been unfolding in Israel in spite of many complexities and problems. It's a fabulous opportunity for members from faraway countries to gather together and share ideas on how our parliaments can actually engage constructively vis-a-vis the situation in the Middle East and Israel, and better understanding for our own domestic populations and our colleagues and our fellow parliamentarians.
The Israel Initiative of June 30th reports that as a direct result of the conference session discussing UNRWA, members of the Canadian and Japanese parliamentary caucuses are lobbying their governments for change.
We are starting now Allies Caucus in Switzerland. In the next session in a week, we are in Bern and we have the possibility to speak to much members of parliament, of the Swiss parliament.
Mr. Iiacf emailed MK Beni Alon to let him know that in the last days of May, Switzerland has established their Israel Allies Caucus. The Brazilian parliamentary delegate, Deputy Ferreira, is also leader of the Confederation of Assemblies of God in Brazil.
There are about 6 million members of the Assemblies of God. 40% of the Brazilian population is evangelical. We will be on Israel's side. We've said as much in Brazilian Congress.
This was an excellent conference. It has given us plenty of ammunition. Today, a number of good researchers brought about good material that is going to help us be effective in the work that we are doing in our parliament, and also Christians who will be enlightened. Christians in my country, fortunately, make a bigger percentage. So potential is great because of the Christian vote.
I feel that the caucus is going to help us because of a very important and at the same way, simple reason. Because instead of working alone, each one in its own country with its own initiatives, we will work together from different countries of the world and with common goals and also with common initiatives that we can push together and have much more chances to succeed.